Let's start. So come to standing. Lifting and rolling the shoulders, setting the energy pathways to the up through the throat and to the head. And just with your head turn to the left and then turn to the right and come back to the centre. So this time imagine with your nose or your chin a horizontal figure of 8. So I'm going to lift my nose up and trace the 8 with the nose or the chin, and then breathing in, make that trace of the 8 in the other way. It doesn't matter which way you go on your horizontal 8, because the invitation, of course, will be to reverse that movement. And this almost promotes a perfect fluid symbol. You probably know more than me. You find in nature that kind of everything is continual. Nothing, it's a continual cycle of life. And this reflects in the head. So in a way it stops your head moving too much. And then very, very gently the invitation is to reverse that 8. If you don't want to reverse it, you don't have to. But everything emanates from the brain, and I've instantly gone wrong. So obviously something seriously out on my cognitive, not even cognitive, but the mental state here, because I can't remember which way I've gone. Literally, it's interesting, isn't it? How your brain patterns dictate quite a lot. And they also dictate your writing. So graphology, the art of reading writing, reflects your brain patterns. Hello? Hello?
Who's this little squeak?
Are you there, Sarah?
Gone down on the floor. Maybe she's gone out the door.
Or maybe the phone rang or something. Okay. So yes, just come to the standstill. And then breathing in, raise the arms up. Touch palms, come through the centre and roll down. Touch your shins, press your hands into your shins and lengthen from the tailbone to the top of the head. Breathe out, bend your knees. Breathe in, lengthen your spine. And stay here as you breathe out. Breathe in, press your feet down and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. You're back. You suddenly heard this voice and thought, oh my goodness, where's she gone? And then just slightly...
I forgot that I wasn't on mute.
From side to side. And then lower your hands. Cross step your right ankle over your left, or just put your right foot over towards the left. Raise your hands up and just bend. So I'm going to bend to my left, I think, which stretches the right side. You can look down, which is quite a nice way, and breathing in, come to the centre. Breathing out, lower the hands and uncross your legs. Just lift one heel and then the other, almost keeping the toes on the ground but lifting the heel. And then cross your left foot over your right. Raise your hands. You might naturally change the grip and go over to the right. Have to really think about that. And just a lateral stretch along the left side here. You're opening the intercostal muscles. Breathing in, come to the centre. Breathing out, lower your arms and uncross your legs. And then just a very familiar side to side. So you can lift your heels, and this becomes almost like a balance for the pelvis, as well as moving all the 5 energies in the body. And you're also beginning to a mindfulness exercise, because you can't keep stress as you're going from side to side and the left-right brain hemisphere. Communication and coordination is beginning to be activated, the neural pathways. If you wanted to start to benefit from that properly, you need to do this for at least 50 times. So, to really start to get into the zone. And this is a modification of one of the Tibetan rites of the 5, actually 6 movements for perfect health. And the first Tibetan rite is swaying from side to side. But while you're doing that, I will demonstrate the original Tibetan rite, which you're welcome to join in. And that is holding your arms out and spinning to the right like a swirling dervish. And you'll soon see why it's often modified to the movement that we do, because you go very dizzy when you suddenly stop. Everything starts to swim.
No.
And then you get people falling over. So then you go from side to side.
That's good.
But again, the principle's the same. It swirls up everything and it releases you from the stresses and strains because you can't retain thoughts while you're stressed. And then lift and roll your shoulders. And breathing in, as we did, I think yesterday, hands up, back, cross, up, back, cross the other arm, up, back, cross, up, back, cross. It's very releasing. It's like a magnetic field cleanser, certainly at the upper part of the body. Releases frustration and tension. And you'll find this movement in Kundalini Yoga. And it doesn't matter if you miss your arms, which I think I've done. I've lost track of which is which. But then just come to swing your arms. And then lift and roll your shoulders. Hands on your waist, feet hip width apart. And we're going to imitate that horizontal figure of 8 by just swirling one way and swirling the other way. So there is a yoga teacher who was doing yoga on my class last night, called Jules, and she does belly dancing. So she'd be very proud of this because one of her starting sequences is moving the hips in this way. And the hips represent going forward in life, and quite often as we get older the energy can stagnate. So this is a very simple and again safe way, by containing your movement within that figure of 8, of swirling the energy at the lower abdominal level. It's also quite good for your waist. And then again, the invitation is to turn round the other way. I've instantly lost the plot of, again, this figure of 8 pattern reflects partially our brain patterns, as my understanding is. But again, it's a really nice way to balance the pelvis. Sometimes you sit in a cross-legged position and you stir the pot, and this exercise standing up is gentler. It's a kind of standing option, which I quite like. And then just release and lift and roll your shoulders, raising your hands up, palms together, come through the centre, and once more come to place your hands on your shins. Breathing in, lengthen. Breathing out, soften your knees and soften your elbows. Breathing in, lengthen. Stay here as you breathe out. And breathing in, press your feet into the ground as you roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. And raising the arms up. Hold the thumbs together and just sway from side to side. And you can do that horizontal figure of 8 if you want to with your fingertips, but you can also just go from side to side. And if you've done the horizontal figure of 8, you might like to go the other way. And then just release the hands. Lift and roll the shoulders. Come to the top of the mat. We're going to do a gentle option on salute to the sun. Inhale, exhale, hands together. Inhale, arms up, either looking ahead or looking up. That depends on your neck capacity and where you feel comfortable. Breathing out, lower your hands, bend your knees, hands either side of your feet, and step back with your right foot, keeping it high, and then lower your right knee to the ground. Just for a moment, stay here, just stretching out the hips. And then slide the left foot back to join the right. And just start to sway your bottom from side to side. But again, we can have the figure of 8. So you might like to think perhaps of a vertical 8. But any 8 will do. As you again swirl your bottom round and then come forward in that figure of 8. And then again, you might like to reverse your 8 so that you're snaking through. And in a way, think if yourself looking down on top of yourself, imagine you were a fish. And you know how a fish snakes its body. This is a very similar thing. So you can make your 8 tiny or you can make it slightly larger. And then come to the centre in tabletop, breathing in, dipping your back. We're coming to a classic cat-cow, and breathing out, rounding. Your chin comes to your chest. Breathing in, dipping your back. And breathing out, rounding chin to chest. Come to kneeling in tabletop, and slide your right leg back, keeping your right knee off the ground and tucking your right toes underneath. And turn to look over your left shoulder, to look at your right foot. Come back to the centre and just counterpose by looking over your right shoulder. And then come to place your right knee on the ground. As you slide your left foot back, tucking your left toes under and your left knee is lifted off the ground. And then I think turning to look over your right shoulder. And then come back to the centre and then just counterpose by looking over your left. And then bring your left knee to the ground. Once more, dipping your back, cat. And this time optionally cow. You can either do cat-cow again, or for those us who want to come into downward dog, come into a soft downward dog and walk the dog by bending one knee and then the other knee, and feel that you can bring your feet closer to your hands fractionally and that your feet can stay wider. If you're not doing dog, then you can stay in cat-cow. Stretch both feet back, and now everybody joins up in kneeling once more in tabletop. And the hands go to the left, giving space for the right foot to come up. Maybe the right foot moves slightly to the right to give you extra balance if you need that. And the hands come either side of the right foot. Keep your left hand to the inside of your right foot and place your right hand, you can come onto your fingertips, place your right hand on your right waist and just open out to the right. Just checking that your right shoulder is open, almost opening up like a clam. Breathing in and out. And then bringing your hand back to the outside of your right foot, so your right foot has a hand either side of it. And then tucking your left toes underneath, tummy in to support your core, and lift your left knee. Just bring your left foot slightly in so that you come to what is called pyramid pose. So you, if you're being very ideal, you would bring your right hip back and your left hip slightly forward. You're stretching out the back of your left calf. And then bend your knees and step your left foot to your right foot. Hands go on the shins, breathing in, lengthen along the spine, half lift. Breathing out, bend in, elbows out to the side. Breathe in, press your hands on the shins. Stay here as you breathe out. And breathing in, press your feet into the ground as you roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. And raise your arms up above you, looking either ahead or up, stretching your fingers. Breathing out, lower your hands. Lift and roll your shoulders and clasp your hands behind you, aiming the knuckles to the ground. This opens you up at the shoulder level. And then release the hands to slide them down the backs of your thighs to the floor. And then bending your knees, step your left foot or slide it back. Left leg is high and off the ground, stretching your hip for a moment. Lower your left knee to the ground. Slide your right leg back, your right foot back into tabletop. And breathing in, dipping your back. Breathing out, rounding. Your chin comes to your chest. Dipping your back. And as you round this time, chin to chest, you can optionally come into downward dog or repeat the cat-cow. Coming into a soft downward dog. Bending one knee and then bending the other knee as you walk the dog. Bend both knees and extend both legs. The heels don't have to touch the ground at all, just aiming towards the ground, and then bend both knees to come back into tabletop. And this time your hands go to the right, giving space for your left foot to come up. Hands either side of your left foot, and stretch into your left hip. And then come back so that your left foot with the thigh forms a 90-degree angle for support. Maybe move your left foot out to the left if you need support to kneel up. Just lift and roll your shoulders. Just raise your arms up. And then breathing out, come to place your hands to either side of your left foot and place your left hand on your left waist, opening and turning towards the left. And then coming to place your hands either side of your left foot. Slide your leg back into tabletop. And then I'm going to turn around to face you so that you can see what I'm doing. If you need any support under your knees, kneel up and take your right foot out to the right so that it becomes like a gate. Ideally, your toes should be touching the ground, but that's not always possible. But I'm very impressed that all of you seem to be doing that, more so than me. Lift your left arm and then just come over to the right, sliding your right hand down your right shin and your left hand. So feel that you're between two panes of glass, that you're not letting the left arm drop forward, that you're back more. You won't go very far. Come up, that's very good. And then just touch your left hand to the floor and bring your right arm up and over, stretching along the right side, looking at either down or straight ahead. You can look up, but that's, I think, a bit of a strain for the neck. Breathing in, come up, and then bring your knee in. You can come forward if you need to. And then we're going to obviously come out to the other side. Left leg goes out. And just trying to think. Breathing in, raise the right arm as the left hand goes down to the side of the shin, go down the front of the shin. Again, feel that someone's placing their hand on your hips, almost pushing your hip back so that it's not drooping forward. Come up and then just touch your right fingers to the floor and come to bring your left arm over. It's a very supportive form of, it's not a triangle, but it has that lateral stretch to it. Breathing in, coming up, bring your knees together, and then come to puppy pose. So come to your elbows, bottom in the air, and you can walk your elbows or arms forward. You don't have to have your elbows on the ground, they can be off. But sometimes it's quite nice to, and you can rest your head perhaps on the floor as your bottom comes up to the air. If you don't want your head down quite so much as it is, you can always bring your hands in to make fists so that you're supported and your head's not quite so far down. So this should be quite a restful pose, and the arms forward like this gets into the area between the shoulder blades, which is sometimes quite difficult to access. It's a form of rest pose, really. Coming forward is always calming for the nervous system. And your heart's not exactly parallel to the ground, but your heart's not having to work quite so hard to pump the blood upwards, so it becomes restful for the heart. And then very gently walk your hands back and come to a seated position with your legs out in front of you. And just bounce your legs and just either rub or tap your legs just to boost the circulation. You can go right down to the tops of your feet, around your ankles, and then hands either side of you to sit up and toes up to the ceiling and toes point away a couple of times just to bring movement and circulation into the feet. And then circle your ankles in one direction. And then circle your ankles in the other direction. And then stretch your toes out and then release them. And then just touching on Kundalini again, just bang the big toes together, which sets up a vibration, and a vibration that will go all the way through the body. And a vibration is the opposite of stagnation. So in health terms, you need vibration in your life. And in Kundalini, again, they will have you doing this, chanting probably, for about masses of time, at least 50. I've got a feeling I counted 125 before I lost count. And then just release that bang and just process the effects in your body. And then we're going to come to lying on the floor as we move from one area to another. So we're focusing here on the base chakra and the neck chakra up. So your knees can for the moment be bent and feet are hip width apart. And you can keep both knees bent, or you can, we're going to hug the left knee into the chest, and the right knee can stay bent, or the right knee can stay up. So the right knee can stay bent and up, or it can just extend along the floor. So it depends where you feel comfortable. Just circle your knee a couple of times in one direction, and again you can pick up that horizontal figure of 8 or vertical 8 theme, whichever works for you. just a subtle movement of the legs in the hip sockets. And then if you can reverse the circle or reverse your 8, it can be horizontal or it can be vertical 8 or just a circle. And then still hugging your left knee into your chest, rock your entire body over to the right. So your left hip will lift, you're rolling onto your right side, and your right hand might slide up to your left thigh. Your left hand here can either be resting on your waist, or if you'd like to stretch out under your arms, you can raise the left arm up, keeping it bent at the elbow, and rest the back of the left hand above you. You can look up to the left, and remembering to extend your right leg, extending the right heel. So this particular rotation is a rotation that looks very much at the lower sacral level. You can, if you're at home, have support under your left knee so that your left knee can rest on a bolster. It's a very iconic pose. You can, if you've got your arm up, you can feel the pull under the arm. You can have your arm on your waist. If you really want a strong opening, you can open your arm out to the left like a book. And that's very strong under the arms. And then roll onto your back. You might feel you've gone a bit skew width, so a suggestion is to bend both knees, press both feet into the ground to lift your bottom and just to reset your pose. And then hugging the right knee into the chest, and the left knee for the moment can stay upright or it can go along the floor. And just circle your right knee a couple of times in one direction. And then circle a figure of 8, horizontally or vertically. And then reverse, circling your knee in the other direction. And then if you have got your left knee up, now's the time to straighten your left leg along the ground. And roll your entire body to the left, lifting your right hip. Your right hand can rest either on the waist, the right waist, or your right hand can, bent at the elbow, can raise up above you and rest the back of the hand on the floor. If you are at home or you need support under your right knee, you can take that in the form of a bolster, if you need it. And again, you've got that lovely stretch along your right side, remembering to extend the left heel of the left leg. That has an additional benefit to tone the left leg, particularly on the inside of the inside seam. I'm looking either up or to the right, your eyes open or closed. Any kind of rotation is realigning for the spine because you're stretching the long muscles on one side of the spine, and then you're stretching them gently on the other side of the spine. And then very gently roll out of that, lowering your right arm. And then bend both knees, placing both feet on the floor to press your feet down if you need to just readjust your bottom back onto get it central. And then bend your left and then right knee in towards your chest. Hold both, hold your hands behind your thighs of both legs, even maybe clasping your hands. And just raise your feet to the ceiling. So this doesn't look like it, but it's an upside down forward bend, if that makes sense. So you it's quite nice to have a compensation after the rotation. And you might feel that you'd like to walk your hands up the backs of your legs. You might like to have your hands inside your thighs. And depending on your arm capacity, you might like to hold your big toes, in which case you might like to open your legs into a little V and just gently rock from side to side. And then very gently bend both knees. And hold above the ankles, so the knees are out like a butterfly, and you're just holding above the ankles on the shin bone. So this would become a supine form of Baddha Konasana. It sometimes allows you to go slightly deeper into the opening of the inner thighs, but equally some people don't like that feeling. They feel it's not something that they particularly enjoy. So we won't stay here for too long, we'll just give the thighs on the inside a slight stretch. And then very, very gently hug both knees into the chest, rocking them from side to side. And then hug the knees into the chest, and still holding them, let them drift away to arm's length. Hugging the knees in and letting them drift away to arm's length. Hug the knees in and let them drift away to arm's length. And just a couple more times. And then very gently place the feet on the floor and slide your legs out along the mat. Resting your hands on your abdomen, we're going to do a supine tree, so a lying tree. So bend your left leg and place the left sole of the foot towards the inner right leg. Think of a tree, but you're doing it in a lying position. Again, you can always have support under your left outer thigh. So a tree is thought of about balance, and when we're lying on the ground, it's easy to forget that support of balance. So you extending your right heel away from you as if you're pushing your right foot into the ground. Quite often, tree is opening out the, in this case, the left hip. In tree, often we're wobbling on our balance, where I am, and I don't get that full opening on the left side quite so much. But of course, what you don't get challenged on here is the balance. We will do that a little bit later on. Taking your left hand underneath the left outer thigh, lift your left leg up, and then just slide your left foot away from you. Just extend your right foot and then extend your left foot so that you're just stretching out both legs. Extend both heels, and then keeping the left leg extended, the left heel extended, bend up your right knee and place or aim the right leg towards the inside of the left leg, if that makes sense, the right foot. Again, you can have a support under your right thigh. The other thing about tree is that when people balance their foot to the inside of their thigh, so in this case the right foot in standing tree would be pushing against the left inner thigh, it can push or bow the left leg out to the left, and that can put huge strain on the left hip. The instruction in tree is not to place the foot against the knee, so generally the knee joint is spared, but you'll see people's legs bowing out and they're putting huge pressure on that left hip, and the aim is to keep the left leg absolutely straight like a tree. So breathing in and out. And then very gently take your right hand to place it under the right thigh, hugging the right knee into the chest and then the left knee into the chest. And once more, just rock from side to side. And your rock can be a little bit, or it can really rock to almost one upper arm to the other. Again, you choose where you want to rock to. And then gently placing your feet on the ground. This time, take your arms out either to a T or to an A shape. And you can choose whether you have palms up or palms down. And your knees are slightly wider than hip width apart. As you begin to drop both knees to the right, the left hip lifts, and then bring both knees back to the centre and both knees drop over to the left, and the right hip lifts. So again, from side to side, how much you drop your knees to the ground and how wide you have your feet is your choice. And as you're beginning to rock your knees from side to side, you can optionally turn your head from side to side. And I'm not going to give an instruction, it's your choice whether your head turns in the direction of the knees or away from the knees. And then if this isn't going to mess with your mind too much, again, no instruction. As you've got this pattern established of your knees moving and your heads turning from side to side, you can rotate the arms up, one arm up and then down, so that you're rotating the arm in the socket. But again, which arm you rotate upwards is up to you. So it's a multitasking pose that tunes into something called the somatic movement for anti-aging, and explores the relationship of the limbs to the torso. And it's at those joints, particularly of the shoulder and the hips, but also here you're moving your neck, that can suffer the aging effects of muscle contraction pulling you in. But what's so lovely about this exercise, I think, is that the ground is supporting you, so it makes it very safe, and you can move as little or as much as you like. I've got various quotes from various doctors on the wonderful benefits of yoga, and where there is a plus point, particularly for me, is that yoga generally, if you're doing it, and here it's impossible not to do it properly, is you're coordinating the movement with your breath. So then it becomes a breathing exercise. And there's a slightly meditative aspect to it as well. Certainly mindfulness aspect, because the gentle swaying from side to side is releasing thought patterns. But then coming away from that, coming back to the centre, hugging the knees into the chest once more, rocking from side to side. And then rolling over, perhaps to the right, away from the heart, and taking time to settle here. We're going to come up very gently to rolling onto the side, coming up. We will be coming to a standing position, but take your time, because we've been on the ground for quite some time. It's quite a lot to come up. So So come perhaps onto the knees, tucking the toes and rolling up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Use your hands against your shins if you need to. And raising the arms gently, just sway, join at the thumbs and sway from side to side. So picking up on the theme as we sway from side to side of balance, come to the centre with your arms and lower your hands to your waist. You're opening your lungs, but then lift your heels. So just test how your balance is today. And if you want to drop your heels to a nanomillimetre off the ground, you put the weight into your heels, but you're still keeping your weight balance on your heel, off your heels, and then just lower your heels. And then just subtly soften your knees and feel that you're engaging your abdominal muscles, and then come to standing. All the London gyms are very fond of Utkatasana, which I absolutely don't go for. Utkatasana is hands up, bending the knees and bottom away, and it really does my back in. So a modification of that, because the aim is to get your tummy on, is to have your hands on your waist and just subtly bend your knees, and you're still engaging your core. So there are benefits, but it's just, this is a very soft option. And then just lift and roll your shoulders, and coming now to a Tibetan triangle, lifting one arm, keep the other hand on the thigh, coming over. Feel that you're pressing between two panes of glass, so you won't come that far. Feel that someone's holding your right hip, or your hip, that it's not coming forward. Breathing in, come up to the centre and lower your right arm. And then snake your left arm up, palm inside, glued to your ear almost, coming over to the other side. Use your hands to support you on your thigh. Looking either up, which is over us on the neck, straight ahead or down. And then breathing in, coming up. And then sliding the hands down to the shins, half lift, breathing in, lifting up, breathing out, bending the knees. Press your hands into your shins, breathing in. Stay here as you breathe out. And then breathing in, press your feet into the ground to roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Raising the palms, touching the palms, and then coming through to the heart centre as we come down to once more on our bottom. Knees up, feet hip width apart. And we're going to come to, we've moved through the body, if you were wondering. We're coming up now to the throat area. And knees up, feet hip width apart, hands either resting on the abdomen or palms down. And just start with a couple of pelvic tilts. Warming the spine. You're open at the throat area. Here, but then we're going to carry on. You might like to bring your feet closer to your bottom. Press your feet down into the ground, lift your bottom a little bit or a lot. Raise your elbows bent at the elbows up and behind you, resting the backs of your hands on the ground. Chin now comes in towards the chest, stretch your arms out and start to breathe out, lowering your bottom back down to the ground, and about half to third way through your breath, your arms will naturally follow and come back down to the earth. Just a couple of pelvic tilts once more. And then pressing your feet into the ground when you're ready, lifting up your bottom, arms behind you, chin tucks into the chest, stretching. If you are going up high, just make sure that your knees are tracking forward so they're not splaying out. Breathing out, lowering your bottom back down, lowering your arms. Hugging your knees into your chest. And then soles of the feet to the ceiling in a V, and palms of the hands together through that V. Take your right hand, or it doesn't matter which hand, behind your head and then to support it as you lift your head up and breathing out, lower your head back down to the ground. And again, hug your knees into your chest. Just rocking gently from side to side. Release your feet onto the ground. And either come into Shavasana, or if you prefer to come to constructive rest, your feet come out slightly wider than hip width apart, and your knees just rest together. That's particularly useful if you suffer from lower back issues. Hands can rest on the ground in Shavasana, palms up, or you can rest your hands, palms onto the abdomen. And just once more, come to just turn your head from side to side. Bring it back to the centre. Consciously relax your feet. Consciously relax your legs, your knees. Bottom's heavy on the ground. Hips are heavy on the ground. Actively lift your chest slightly away from the mat and then place your chest back down on the mat. Lower your shoulders away from your ears if they've crept up. And once more coming to turning your head from side to side. Bringing your focus to your third eye, which is the centre of your forehead. Just take the fingertips of one hand and just circle around the third eye. Sometimes people see colours, it connects into the pineal gland. And your fingertips will circle naturally in one direction. But if you wanted the Ayurvedic Marma massage wisdom, you circle your fingertips on any Marma point a few times anti-clockwise to you, and then clockwise. It's an energy reversal system. And then just very gently release your hands. That swirling, if you look at water swirling, it always goes one way. And I'm told that if you were in Australia, it would go the other way, which I find fascinating. And then very gently bring your focus to the top of the head, almost where the fontanelles are. It's called it's a Saraswara chakra point. So it's where our magnetic field, where we connect to the outside world. And just imagine almost like moonlight, golden, silvery beams just drifting down. It is the full moon tomorrow, apparently. So it just drifts down from the centre of the head, almost like sparkling waves of rain almost, cleansing as it goes, sort of sparkling from the top of the head all the way down through the body, inside and outside to the feet. And again, just imagine this continuous stream of sparkly golden, silvery light, with, as I said, picking up on the moon's full energy, which is, I'll say tomorrow, it might be today actually. So just a recognition of that, and take a moment while you're here, being bathed in this lovely light, to have a wish for the day for yourself or someone close to you. And feel cocooned in your sparkling light, inside and out, offering you protection for the day ahead. And then very gently hug one knee into the chest and then hug the other knee. And one last time, just gently rock from side to side. And then rolling over, perhaps to the right. We're going to come once more to finish the class to a seated position, or if you want to, rock up to a seated position, taking your time. Come to a comfortable cross-leg position. If that's not great for your knees, have your feet out. Rule there, I think. Just hands on the knees, breathing in, sitting up. Just stretch the left hand out to the left and do a very gentle, bending your right elbow, gentle lateral stretch to the left. Tummy in as you come upright, and then reverse as you walk your right fingers out to the right, bending your left elbow, very gentle turn to the right, reiterating that lateral stretch. Come upright, fingers either side of you, and then just keep your fingers there as you just do a very gentle forward bend, not very much. Just extending the back of the neck, chin comes to the chest. Let the blood come back to the head. And then breathing in, just come to bring your hands to the